This show usually focuses on big assaults on freedom, the $14 trillion debt, the crippling rules that politicians pass, the authoritarian laws that lock people up unjustly. But now, let's look at the little things, like the government's assault on this. Not to mention the shower heads that no longer give good showers, the front-loading washing machines that don't get your clothes clean, toilets that don't flush. Last week, a U.S. Senator actually confronted the Energy Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Energy Efficiency about that. It's fun to watch.
All your notions that you know what's best for me, frankly, my toilets don't work in my house. And I blame you and people like you who want to tell me what I can install in my house, what I can do. You restrict my choices. I find it insulting. Now, it's not that I'm against conservation. I'm all for energy conservation. But I wish you would come here to try to convince me that it would be a good idea to conserve energy. But you come instead with fines, threats of jail. You put people out of business who want to make products that you don't like.
I really do not believe that the appliance standards end up restricting personal choice. I think they
I can't buy the old light bulbs. That restricts my choice on buying.
Well, my view is what you want is lighting, right? And
I can't buy a toilet that works.
I can help you find a toilet that works.
Are you going to pay for it?
No, they're not going to pay for it. They just pass the rules. We have to pay the bills. And that bothers not just Senator Rand Paul and me, but also the author of Bourbon for Breakfast, a book about the many small and petty ways government intrudes on us. The author is Jeffrey Tucker, who joins us now. So this is hardly a big threat to my life that they're going to ban these things, and we have these now. They use less energy.
I don't know about you, John. Those bulbs drive me crazy. You put them all over a house. You can hardly read a book. They're terrible. In any case, it should be. You agree? Yeah. I can't stand them.
But they're saving energy.
According to Washington, according to the central planners, this used to be a country we didn't have a central plan. Now we have central planners telling us what is efficient. This should be left up to the consumer. And Senator Paul is right. We should have choice in the matter.
Shower heads may release now no more than 2.5 gallons per minute.
Yeah.
We're saving our water.
This was a shock to me. I went around my house and tested all my showers, with a bucket and tested how much water I was getting out of them per minute. The government mandates these little stoppers are put into the shower heads. You have to pull them out, get a drill, and drill them out to get them to work right anymore. If you buy a new home, this is what you have. You have to hack your shower head to have a decent shower these days.
Water heaters can be no hotter than 120
That's
degrees.
Right. You have to hack your water heater too, and
they're saving you from being burned. Lots of people get scalded.
What it means is that our clothes are coming out of the washing machine dirty. Our dishes are not getting clean. Our bodies are not getting clean. You have to have hot water to clean things. It turns out. I don't know if anybody told this lady from the Energy Department. That's true. You got to have hot water. They don't let us have hot water anyway. In any case, you can find the work. You got to do this yourself. You have to break open your water heater and do it yourself.
Low flush toilets. We're saving water again.
This is catastrophic.
1.6 gallons.
Look, the toilets don't work. You can buy, brilliant private entrepreneurs have tried to create new models of toilets that work with 1.6 gallons, right?
But they're having a hard time. They work. They didn't work at first, but now they work.
Yeah, well, you know what happens? They can get the stuff down, but they don't stay clean. So this is why you quite often find toilets that have to have brushes next to them. You're going to want your guests to come over to the house and clean your toilet for you. That's the world we're moving into, thanks to the government.
Your book on the cover has Bourbon for Breakfast is the title, and there's bourbon and a donut. But we're still a free country, and if you want, you can have bourbon and a donut for breakfast.
The title's meant to shock you. Some of the finest men I've ever known drank bourbon for breakfast, and it's a tribute to them. So
they haven't banned this yet?
Well, you know what? It turns out we have as strict alcohol laws as practically any country in the world outside of Saudi Arabia. It's true. We have gigantic federal laws concerning alcohol production, consumption. It's not as easy as it used to be to get a drink. It's a legacy of prohibition. In many places in this country, it's hard to even order a champagne for Sunday brunch anymore. That's really what's coming.
As a thought experiment to think about this, an illustration of how ingrained these attitudes are, look at this clip from Saturday Night Live, which shows how we feel about people who drink too early in the day.
Dawn's a time when you awake to to the challenge of a brand new day. You're on your own when breakfast calls. You're tired of the same old way. AMA. When you meet a friend who don't ask questions, doesn't bother with how or why.
AM ale, because you can't wait till afternoon.
All right, I think it's good that there is social sanction against drinking bourbon for breakfast. I mean, we have a lot more drunks hurting people.
The theme of my book is that society can manage itself. Individuals make mistakes. If you give them freedom, they make mistakes. They correct the mistakes. And slowly over time, order emerges. If it means you're going to have a bourbon on Saturday morning, that's great.
Well, I'm happy in America that we got rid of Prohibition, and they haven't banned donuts yet.
Well, you know, we got rid of some aspects of Prohibition. We've got Prohibition on drugs of the most egregious sort, and I tell you, it's increasing in alcohol. The idea that you have to wait till 21 to get a drink in this country is utterly preposterous. And I'll tell you a secret. Maybe people don't entirely know this, but one of the first things that kids do when they go off to college, they get a fake ID. It's just
I've heard that.
I'm just telling the truth. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's just true.
You're with something called the Mises Institute.
That's right. He was a great freedom fighter. He was born in Austria, driven out of the country because he hated...
This is Ludwig von Mises, and Hayek was a socialist until he read Mises' work.
Yes, 1920, his book called Socialism, and it makes the ultimate case against socialism. You can't be a socialist after reading that book.
And they employ you in Alabama. You have a full-time job writing and blogging, just thinking about liberty.
Well, I wished I was just doing that. I'll also do webmastering and every other thing that you can possibly think of. So it's a fun job. It's a wonderful place to be.
Thank you, Jeffrey Tucker. When we